Today, let's talk about New Year's resolutions, right? Listen, I love this time of year. This is a time of year, it seems like between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we become more thankful, don't we? We focus on some of the more important things in our life, and that automatically makes us more introspective. We self-examine more, and the result of this is we start thinking about being better, right? Now, Agmendino said it this way: inside me burns a flame to be better than I am. And it's passed down from generation to generation. So it's natural at this time of year, about to start a new year, that we think about what do we want from the new year? What do we want to be in the new year? Who do we want to be in the new year? And we start making resolutions, right? Now, what's the problem with resolutions, right? They say most resolutions don't last very long, right? You go to anybody's house, you go downstairs and you see their Bowflex or their ski machine, and it's covered with clothes hanging on it, right? So what happened? I go to Planet Fitness at lunch, and in January, the parking lot is full. In February, it's less full. By March, it's back the way it was all year. What happened? We've made good decisions. We know what we want it bad, but somehow making a decision is a lot easier than actually doing the work to get there, right? Can I tell you something? We need a better plan. If we truly want to change, it's simple. And the first thing we have to do is change the word change, because we don't like change. We fear change. Let's call it this: instead of changing this year, let's improve this year. So let's change the way we think about our New Year's resolutions. Let's change the way we think about change, and let's talk about improving. In this series, we're gonna give you a surefire path to become better in 2019 than you were in 18. We're gonna give you a surefire path that will help you accomplish those goals that before you've tried and failed. We're gonna give you a path that if you follow it, guarantees you success. Right now, while you're waiting for the next video, or in between this video and the next one, maybe you should do this. Maybe you should sit down and think to yourself, what's the one thing that if I did it better, more consistently, would have the biggest impact on my personal life? What's the one thing, if I did it more consistently, if I did it better, would have the biggest impact on my professional life? This is a good place to start, and a good place to meditate on before we get into the actual process and the rules for change, or the rules for self-improvement. We're doing our series on New Year's resolution. It's really not about New Year's resolutions. We can make the decision to be better today than we were yesterday, any day of the year, can't we? But this is the time of year, typically we're more thoughtful about it, we're thinking about it more, right? So we promised you the rules for change. We promised you a process that will guarantee you success. If you want to be better, if you want to improve, we will give you the pathway that guarantees your results, right? Now, I want to tell you first, there's some principles that drive improvement, right? Success is simple, but it's not easy. Success is simple, but it's not easy. So let me give you a couple of those principles, right? And I'll tell you to you this way. David Jeremiah, I heard him say once when I was listening to one of his sermons, he said, we all have about as much of God as we want, right? And I started thinking about that, and I thought, you could apply that to anything. I'm really in as good a shape as I really want to be. In other words, I reap what I sow. That's the principle I want to talk about. In other words, what I'm getting out of something is directly proportional about what I'm putting into it. So as we walk through these rules of improvement, this pathway to improvement, I want you to think about individual effort, because it's truly this: you sow sparingly, you reap sparingly. In other words, if you do less, you get less, right? That's the first rule we need to think about, is the reap and sow. So the second rule or principle that we're going to follow on our process for improvement, for change, is this: that you seek and you find. There's a promise that says, whatever you seek, you find. You can't find things that you're not looking for. So the reap and sow and seek and find work together. In other words, success is simple. It truly is. but it's not easy. You know why? Because you have to have a great plan, but it's up to you to follow it. Dino said, there's never been a map that's carried its traveler even one step of the journey, right? Getting a great plan to improve is one thing. Having a success model is super important, but what's more important is you. Are you willing to do what it takes to be better than you are today? Okay, so we're ready to change, right? We want to be better. We made it. I want to be better than I was, right? Now, there's three real things that you need for change, and they're simple, really. The first one is what we're going to talk about today is the vision process. You need a vision. In other words, what do I want? And you have to have a clear vision. And today, I'm going to give you that vision pathway, and that really is our process, our success model for being better today than we were yesterday, right? And then you have to make a decision. Can I tell you that? Once you have a plan down, you're going to have to make a decision. And I would say this decision is tough because it has to be a what decision? A daily decision. I can't make this decision once. Once I know what I want and why I want it, I have to make the decision to run after it at 1,000 miles an hour. And guess what? I'm going to have to make the decision again tomorrow. And I have to make it again the day after that. So this decision has to be made over and over. And then I have to take action. And when I say take action, again, we're talking about taking what kind of action? Daily action. So the rules for improvement and the game plan for improvement is this simple: vision, decision, action. What do I want? Why do I want it? How am I going to get there? We're going to outline that for you. Decision. Am I going to do it? Not just do I want to do it on January 1st? Have I made a decision on January 1st? But on February 1st, on March 1st, on April 1st, and every day between, are you making the daily decision? You know, I get up in the morning. One of my routines is get up in the morning and preparing for the day. I like to go down and ride the exercise bike. I have a morning routine I like to do, and when I do it, man, my day goes so well, right? I'm preparing myself mentally, physically, and spiritually to have a great day. But every day the alarm goes off at 5, and every day I think about laying in bed. Every day I've got a battle. Should I get up or should I go ahead? And I've been doing good. I might as well skip today, right? That's the daily battle we all face. And sometimes we lose that battle. But guys, we want to win that more than we lose it. And that's why the daily decision. You have to decide right then, what do I want? How do I want? Get out of bed and get going, right? That's the daily decision. And of course, that daily decision leads to the daily action, right? So these are your three rules, if you will, or pathway to improve. Now, I want to break these down. I want to break down actually the vision process, break it down for you, and start piecing this together. And let's start making the changes we want for 2019. Okay, so we are talking about improving. We're talking about New Year's resolutions, but actually something more powerful, a daily pursuit of being better than I was yesterday, right? We want to constantly self-examine and improve ourselves. This time of year with New Year's resolutions is a time it's on our mind, but I'd like to make daily improvement or becoming a student of excellence, pursuing our best self, our lifetime pursuit, right? A daily, a weekly, a monthly pursuit, not just once a year, but every day of the year, asking yourself, how can I be better today, right? So we talked about the three things: vision, decision, and action. Vision, daily decisions, got to be made over and over, and action, right? Consistent, deliberate action. Long obedience in the same direction is what action is, right? Okay, today I want to show you the vision process. We'll focus on number one, the vision process. And by the way, this vision process was really created by Solomon 3,000 years ago. He said, where there's no vision, the people perish, right? So if you don't start with a clear vision, whatever you set out to do is going to fail. It just is. Because the principle that drives change, the principle that drives improvement starts with this vision. With there's no vision, the people perish. So let's reverse it. With vision, the people what? They thrive, right? If without vision, they're going to perish, then it has to be true that the opposite is true. With a clear vision, you can thrive, right? So what is a vision process? I'll tell you what it does. I'm going to give you the overview, and then we'll go down and we'll break each element apart. The vision process is just like this, okay? It starts with, where am I now? The vision process starts with a clear and honest representation of where am I, self-examination, where am I now, right? And then it moves on and it sets a goal. Where do I want to be, all right? So here's where I am now, and here's where I want to go. This is what I want to be. This is who I want to be. And we've got to have a disparity between where I am now and where I want to be in order to go through this process, right? And we're all thinking that. Maybe it's like, I want to lose some weight. Where am I now? I'm overweight. Where do I want to be? Maybe it's I want to be healthier, eat healthier. What do I eat now? What do I want to eat like? You guys follow me. So you've got to have a now, what at present day, and a goal, end result, right? And then you've got to have the biggest piece of what I would call the vision process is, why am I doing this, right? Before I put together the how, which is step 4, I need to put together the why. The why is what? The why is my motivation. Without the motivation, why should I take the journey? You guys with me? So here's what we do. The 4 steps begin with this. Where am I now? Where do I want to be? And why do I want to go there? And finally, how am I going to get there? We're going to break down each of these so that you can start walking through the improvements you want for 2019 right away. Okay, so we're talking about New Year's resolutions, the rules for change. We want to be better. All of us has a flame burning inside to be better than we are, right? We've talked about the past, that we've failed before, but we don't care about the past. We care about today. My mom used to say, I deserve the right to be better today than I was yesterday, to be smarter today than I was yesterday, right? And we all have that right. So we're going to begin making the real changes to impact the life in the way we want it, to be more of a benefit, not just to ourselves, but to others, right? So we laid out our vision process, right? And we said the vision process is like any other process. It has a beginning, it has an end, and where am I now? And where do I want to go? Or where do I want to be? I'm sorry. Let me write that clear. Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be, right? And then we talked about the fact that we got to have the why, the motivation to get there. And of course, the how is the steps we're going to take to get there. But I want to stop for a minute and I want to talk about this now, because this is where it starts. It starts with the now. Where am I now? You know what? If I can't be honest with myself and if I can't do an honest self-examination, why go through all this? If I go to the mirror and I suck at my stomach, I feel pretty good. If I lie to myself about my current situation. So this is about being honest with yourself. This is sitting down and self-examining. I know that we go back to, I think it was Socrates said, an unexamined life is not worth living. And throughout the years, and I studied a lot of Ben Franklin, you guys that know me know that, and he was always examining his life, saying, who am I now and who do I want to be? That's where I got a lot of my training from, was Ben Franklin's writings. And so we find that one of the most powerful success principles in our life is the principle of self-examination. Where am I now, right? So we've got to be clear and we've got to be honest. Now, this is the catalyst for everything, isn't it? Now, in AA has rules for change, right? And they're a powerful change catalyst. And that process is a powerful process and has helped so many people. I don't agree with it in its entirety, but I agree with so much of it. And if you follow it, you will have success if you follow their path. And you know what their path starts with? You got to stand up and say, what? Hi, I'm Dave and I'm this. You know what that is? That is being honest with the now. Here's where I am, what? Now, right? Okay, so step 1 today. Where are you now? So let's say we picked one thing personally, one thing professionally that we would like to improve or change. The first thing we want to do is sit down on a piece of paper and write down the personal and write down, where am I now? This one thing, personal. So let's say it was physical. I want to be in better shape. I want to be healthier, whatever that sounds like to you. You need to sit down right now and write out where you are now. Be honest with yourself. And then repeat it professionally. What's the one thing, if I change professionally, would have the biggest impact on me and my career and the people around me? What's the one thing? Just sit down and be honest with yourself. Where am I now? Why, right? And then we'll talk about putting the rest of this plan together in the following modules. In the last session, we talked about the vision process, right? We talked about where we are now, where we want to be, or where do we want to go, why do we want to go, our motivation, and how are we going to go there, our process, right? And in the last session, we really focused on the now, the self-examination, being honest with ourselves, and hopefully you've done your homework. You picked two areas, one personal, one professional, that you want to improve. And then you sat down and wrote, where am I now? All right, fantastic. So now let's go to this. Where do I want to be? This is part two. So this was number one. We start with this. And now we got to set a goal. Where do we want to go? Now, this is critical, because why take this journey if there's no destination, right? If there's no destination, any path will get you there, they say. So we've got to have a clear end goal. And by the way, excellence isn't a destination. Really, it's a lifestyle. It's a journey, isn't it? So when we say the end goal, like for me, one of my key things is I like to stay fit. It makes me feel better, more energetic, healthier. I feel like I can be better personally, professionally, relationally. My whole life, I think, becomes better when I take care of myself physically. So there's no end goal where I say, I've reached it and I can stop. Does that make sense to you? Our end goal is a destination where we want to be, kind of next level. And then maybe sometimes we get there and now our goal is to maintain that or to constantly press that, isn't it? Okay, you guys with me? So where do you want to be? Now let's do the same thing we did for number one. Let's sit down and write a clear end goal. Where do you want to be? Professionally and personally. Sit down and think through it, because you've got to have a goal that's so strong it will help us with part three, which is the motivation for going. In our next session, we'll talk about the why. We're on our path to improvement for 2019, aren't we? We started this by talking about our New Year's resolutions and how we all have the desire to be better and how often we fail. We talked about setting and finding a success model, and we found one from Solomon. It's called the vision process, and it works with vision, active daily decisions, and daily action, right? Long obedience in the same direction. But it starts with the vision process. So we're looking at what we call our success model for change. Our success model for improvement is really what? Vision, right? And we've talked about the first step of this vision is self-examination, self-reflection. Today we'd call that awareness, right? Mindfulness, as some people want to say. Where am I now? Honestly. Then we set a goal, a clear objective. Where do I want to go? You've got to have that objective. And now we're going to talk about the fuel for the journey, right? What is the fuel for the journey? I'll tell you what it is. It's called motivation. I'm going to tell you something I believe. You can't motivate other people. You can inspire them. And other people can't motivate you. They can demotivate you. Motivation is largely internal, isn't it? It's what you have to decide. Every minute you have to make that decision to move forward. That's motivation. To give up what you want now for what you really want long term. To make that discernment between what you want to do and what you should do, what's going to serve you the best, right? And this why here, this motivation is your fuel. Why do you need fuel? I'll tell you why you need fuel. Because it becomes difficult. This journey becomes difficult. You can see the path from now to where we want to go. We wrote it, the process, it wasn't a straight line, right? It wasn't a downhill path. What is it? It's an uphill battle. The path for change is uphill. The path to improve is uphill. Why? Because it takes daily decision and daily action. And if I don't have my tank full of fuel, when the first road bump comes around or the first mountain, the first tough climb comes on, I may give up. And how many of you done that in the past, right? I've done it in the past. I've had a goal, I've had a clear goal, and I've wanted it, but I haven't wanted it enough, so as soon as the going got tough, I got out, right? I started making excuses. Next thing you know, I'm right back to where I started, right? Now, if that sounds like you as well, let me tell you, the power to overcome that exists in the why. Why do I want to change? Let me break it down to two things. What happens if I do this? What benefits do I get? What's the payoff? This is clear. You got to look at the benefits. So we looked at this. We made a list personally and professionally of two things we want to change. We list where we were now for both personally and professionally and where we want to go personally and professionally. And now we have to write under both, why are we going to go there? What's the payoff for doing the work? What's the pot of gold for making a change? But I want you to do something else. I want you not just to look at what's the payoff for doing it. I want you to look at what's the cost for not doing it. What if you fail again? What if you don't make the daily decision? What if you don't take the daily action? What if you stay here? What is the price you will pay for inaction, indecision? What's the price? So here's what we're talking about. Part 3 of the vision process is the fuel, is the engine fuel in the tank, man. It's the jet fuel. It says this, here is why I'm going to take this path. It gives you the power to overcome obstacles. It gives you the power to overcome setbacks. And when you fall, you won't stay down. Before you might have fallen and stayed down. This time you'll fall. As you're going on any journey, you're going to fall. But the why picks you back up and points you in the right direction again. In today's session, we're going to talk about game planning, the how, right? The how. And that's part number 4 of our vision process. So we said change, real change, and we're changing the word change to improvement. Real improvements in our life take 3 things: vision, decision, daily decision, and action. And sometimes daily action does it. That's all it takes. And if we really want change to stick in this year, if we want to be better this year than we were last year, we want to go ahead and map it out. We've got to follow the success process that Solomon set forward. We call it the vision process. He promises that where there is vision, the people thrive, right? The opposite of what he wrote is true, and we want to thrive. And so we laid out our vision process. Where are we now? Where do we want to go? And most importantly, why are we taking the journey in the first place? That's the motivating factor. That's the power behind our process. Now we're talking about the how are we going to get there. Now, this is more complicated. There's the how is going to depend on what you're doing, right? So you're going to have to sit down and make a list. Here's where I think most people fail. Most people fail because they fail to plan, right? You got to make a plan. So I wouldn't say, if I was coming to your house, I wouldn't say, you might say, come on over and have dinner. Great, I'll see you. No, what? I'd have to first do what? I'd go into Google and I would put my address, I'd put in your address, and Google would give me the path to go from my house to your house, right? That's a process. And if I follow that process, I will arrive at your house and have a great dinner, right? Same with this. We want to improve, so we have to have a process. It's not enough to know where are we now, right? That's the start. That's my house. Where do I want to go, right? That's your house. And we said the why I want to go there. Well, you're going to feed me, right? I want to eat. So that's the why. Now we're looking at the how, and that's the steps to get me there. You guys with me? The how are the steps to get you there. So what are the steps? So since I work out a lot, and my friends know it, I've had a lot of people ask me, hey, can you help me write a workout program? Can you help me write a diet? And of course I say, of course I'd love to help you with that. And I'd love to help you with that. So I ask them this, how's your workouts going so far? And they'll say, what do you mean? I said, well, have you joined a gym? No. Do you have any equipment? No. Okay. What are you planning on doing? Are you planning on walking? I don't know, right? So here's the thing. A lot of people are asking for help with something they're not even trying to do. So you got to have a plan. Let me just give you this. If you want to get in better shape, there's really 4 things to do, right? What are the 4 things? Well, you have to eat better, right? You have to stop doing some things that might be hurting that process. Excessive whatever, smoking, drinking, whatever it is, right? So you've got to eat better. You've got to sleep more. You've got to get good rest. Your mind and your body need to be replenished with rest. And of course, you've got to move. We call moving exercising. And that exercising or that movement looks different for everybody. It could be walking, could be running, could be weight training, could be cycling, whatever it is. Does that make sense? So your process has got to decide this. Where am I now? Well, here, I don't have anything. Where I want to go, I'd really like to be cardiovascular fit, and I'd like to bike. So I'd like to be a regular, I'd like to use the bike as my exercise mechanism. Okay, so now and of course, why is by biking, I'm gonna burn a lot of calories, I'm gonna strengthen my heart, I'm gonna feel more physically fit. So what do you gotta do to start biking regularly? What do you got to do? Well, first of all, you got to have a bike, right? And if you don't have a bike, you got to get a bike, or you got to join a gym where there's a bike. So the first thing is having the tools, right? And then there's having the time. When are you going to bike? When are you going to go, right? You can't just say, I want to do something. You got to have the tools, and you got to have the time. Does that make sense? And can I tell you this? I'll tell you this, and I think this is a big one. I'm going to make a plan, and here's my plan. But how easy it is for me to get off my plan if I don't have a partner, right? As iron sharpens iron, one person sharpens another. I remember reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's book on bodybuilding. He said, you've got to have a workout partner, because there's days when you're going to get up and you don't want to go, but your partner's raring to go, so you'll go, right? And of course, he was talking about the principle of partnership that Solomon talked about in Ecclesiastes. Two ropes together, right, are harder to cut. One rope is easily broken, two are hard. So partnership can drive it. So this might look like a plan for you. And then you might also think about what you're going to eat and where you're going to eat, what you're going to drink, right? You guys get it? Sit down and at least draw out, here's what I'm going to do, and here's how I'm going to do it. If you want real change this year, it's simple. It's really simple, but it's not easy. You're going to have to take some time and sit down and decide, what do I want? Where am I now? Where do I want to be? Most importantly, why do I want to go there? And then you're going to have to develop a plan. That's the vision process. And it's not over, is it? Once you have that process, then you have to say, daily decision. You wake up tomorrow. If you're riding with your friend at 6 o'clock in the morning, tomorrow you're going to have to wake up and do what? Get out the door when? 6 o'clock and go ride. That's going to be a daily decision you're going to have to make over and over. You know what? Most can't or won't make that daily decision. That's what separates success from failure. See, success is simple, but it's not easy. Most will make the one-time decision, but cannot make the repetitive decision. You know that long obedience in the same direction, that diligence or discipline is how all results are created. They're not created overnight. They're created with this persistent action, aren't they? So if you want to be successful, we've just given you the path to do so. The question is, what are you going to do with it? We really enjoyed bringing you these rules of change and this vision process for change. We're excited about the changes you're going to make this year. Remember, who you are matters. What you do matters, why you do it matters, and how you do it matters. Your life ripples into so many other lives every single day. You matter. And so pursuing your best self matters, doesn't it? As a matter of fact, can I tell you this? I believe joy, peace, and satisfaction, which is real success, joy, peace, and satisfaction come only from self-approved conduct. Self-approved conduct comes only from the pursuit of our best self. Self-approved conduct doesn't come in perfection. It comes from the persistent diligence of every day waking up and say, today I'm going to be better than I was yesterday. If I'm constantly pursuing my best self, I will self-approve, and I'll get up with a joy and peace and satisfaction that I didn't have before I pursued my best self. So who you are matters. Now, listen, we talked about professional and personal change. There's also relational change, right? Very important. You might want to look at some of your relationships. Where are they now? Where do I want them to be? Why do I want to go right? And of course, how can I make those better? That can get down to like in a marriage relationship, that could be that date night, could be the how, right? That could be one of the steps of how. But whatever relationship you have with your parents or your kids or your spouse or your neighbors or your coworkers, whatever, that's a big area you can improve. So we got professional, we got personal, we got relational, financial. This is a great way to use the vision process for financial goals. In other words, where am I now financially? Where do I want to be? Why do I want to go there? And how am I going to get there? So many people struggle financially simply because they haven't taken the few minutes it takes to map out what they want and how they're going to get it, right? So we got professional, personal, relational, financial. Of course, there's spiritual. For those of you that connect to something bigger than yourself, where are you at spiritually, right? Is that a driving force in your life? And if so, are you where you want to be? Yes or no? If not, use the vision process to get there. We know that this is the Reader's Digest of something that's really big, but I will tell you this, you don't need anything more. Success, what we would call excellence, joy, peace, and satisfaction, that's what we call an automotive sales coach, is simple. It's been passed down through the ages that you need a vision, right? And that you need to take action, and action requires a decision. That's been passed down for the last 3,000 years. The best of the best have known it. The only difference from those who have succeeded and those who have failed lies in the difference of their daily habits. The ones that succeed and get what they're after are the ones that have a plan, that vision, and take daily action that is the result of daily decision. The only difference between failure and success lies there, guys. It's simple. So I think we need to sit down with ourselves and think about it. What do I want? Why do I want it? How bad do I want it? And am I willing to do what it takes? Because everybody who's listening to me now has the power to be better today than they were yesterday.